Bring on the juice. Bring on the juice. Bring on the juice. Bring on the juice. Make me sweat. Huh.
Yo, 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 Juice Master Max here, and today is all about the colon and why I think that colon irrigation is so important for treating and healing any chronic illnesses and diseases. So today I'm actually going to go to a wellness center, and first I'm going to talk to a woman who just finished her 4th hydrocolon therapy session, see how she's feeling, and then I'm going to interview a hydrocolon therapist and talk to her about why it's so important to regularly detox your colon. And then I'm actually going to get a colonic myself. So we'll see how that goes. Stay tuned, you guys. It's going to be a good one. So I'm here with Jacqueline, and she just finished her 4th hydrocolon therapy session. And I'm just going to ask you how you feel now and how you felt before.
Well, before, I was having a lot of digestive issues, and it was really worrisome. You know, I felt like there was maybe, your worst fear kind of comes out, like maybe I have stomach cancer or kind of all these things. So I had thought about going like the traditional route, getting, seeing the gastrointestinologist and all that, and I just thought I would take this route before going there. So it's been wonderful. It's been really eye-opening for me. I have a pretty good diet, but there's definitely things that I could eliminate. And this, like you said, this is my 4th one, and I just feel, every time after, I feel like I don't ever want to eat again. But of course I do. And I've been really benefiting from it. My family has also been benefiting it just from the information, and they're also curious about it. But they have a lot of fear wrapped up around, being so vulnerable in this kind of situation. So, it's not a big deal, and I think the benefits definitely outweigh, any the fear. If you can get through, going into that situation. And the doctor here is just so gentle and so wonderful and so kind. So I would recommend it for anybody having any issues really with the body because of the absorption of our nutrients is so important for all of our body functions.
For all of it. So after doing the 4 sessions, do you notice a big difference with your overall health?
Well, like I said, I was having a lot of digestive, just pain and discomfort, and I'm not having any of that anymore.
I know that's amazing.
Yeah, I definitely feel that when I'm eating, foods that aren't necessarily good for me, I feel more sensitive to them, and I feel their effects right away. Like within 10 minutes, I can feel like, oh, that probably wasn't the best thing to eat. Whereas when I eat really healthy foods, I don't even think about it. I don't have any afterthought about it. So it's definitely inspired me to keep to a cleaner diet and obviously more fresh vegetables and
fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, so I'm here with Kelsey Becker, and she's an amazing hydrocolon therapist. And we're going to talk about some of the amazing benefits of hydrocolon therapy and just what it can do for you. Let's start out, what exactly is hydrocolon therapy?
Well, it's a method that's used to cleanse the colon. So it's actually a colon irrigation system that uses a combination of warm, hot, and cold water to hot water to dilate the blood vessels of the colon, and then cold water to then constrict them. And that dilation and constriction creates this pumping action that helps the colon go into a peristalsis to eliminate any fecal material or mucus or just dead waste that's on the periphery of the colon.
Oh, wow. So how did you get started with hydrocolon therapy?
Well, I get asked that a lot, actually. And it really just fell into place. When you look at the human body, everything traces back to colon health. Like every single disease, every ailment, whether it is, inflammation in your knee to chronic headaches, to vision impairment, it really all kind of relates to the health of the colon. And so when I took those steps back and kept going back into colon health, I was thinking something more needs to be done. Not just changes in diet or, supplements, but really looking at the one key factor that relates everything. So really that was to press the reset button, help people flush out the old. And I mean old in a physical way of getting rid of old fecal material, but old as in getting rid of some emotional baggage that is really held in the intestines and can inhibit people from really healing.
From healing, yeah, because I've heard if you have a sick colon, like the rest of your body can't really heal.
Yeah.
So it's so important to just keep it cleansed out. And so have you noticed like a big difference in your own body since you started getting them?
I have. The biggest thing I've noticed is clear skin, because the cleaner the inside is, the cleaner the outside is. Really mental clarity. I started doing colon hydrotherapy for myself when I was studying for my board exams after graduating from naturopathic medical school, and that was a big time for me to really like crunch in and study, and I would spend hours upon hours studying, and it was very mentally exhausting. But I noticed the mornings where I had a colon hydrotherapy appointment, that morning I was able to just stay really focused and study, and I had this really clear mind, and I was so attentive to everything that I was reading, and everything just made sense. It was like,
oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
So just like lots of mental clarity from it. And
definitely. And I've had people come out of the room after I've done a session with them where they're like, whoa, I just feel light. Like not even just that physical sense of light, but just, almost as if some kind of weight, mental or thought baggage has been lifted off their shoulders.
Oh, it's so amazing. Oh, wow. So do you recommend, like anyone with chronic illness, do you think that hydrocolon therapy is an important part for healing disease? And
For sure, definitely. With any kind of chronic disease, you take into account inflammation in the body and the immune system. Our intestines comprise 70 to 80% of our immune function, and so making sure you have a clean colon is the first step into upgrading your immune system to kick off, a chronic viral infection or anything like that. Also just inflammation in the body. Our intestines can really indicate how much inflammation is in the body, and so I've seen people with really bad joint inflammation from rheumatoid arthritis and just different muscle and joint kind of pains benefit from the colon hydrotherapy, because it's flushing out those layers that attribute to the inflammation in the body. So especially those almost with like a leaky gut type of profile, where the gap junctions in their intestines have broken apart, and now proteins from the food are leaking through the intestines, and our body doesn't know how to react to that, because the proteins are supposed to stay in our intestines and go through the intestinal tract and be absorbed as a nutrient in that sense. They're not supposed to leak through and just kind of sporadically float throughout the body, and that often results in the body attacking that, and so it'll attack those leaked out proteins, and then at the same time get kind of confused and start attacking the joints and attacking the muscle, and and that leads to autoimmune diseases, which is a huge
everything. Yeah, so many problems. Yeah.
So again, everything starts from the colon.
Everything, and it's all related too, which is so amazing.
Yeah. for sure.
So you've done this a long time. Do you have any like in particular stories of seeing people overcome chronic illnesses with the help of this, or like any particular stories you'd like to tell?
Yeah, so a couple come to mind. One that first pops into my head is a young woman who was really kind of hesitant about the whole procedure itself. She didn't want to do it, but she was, willing to at least get on the table and try it out. And the whole time she was like breathing kind of really shallow and not letting anything come out, and she just wanted to stop the procedure right away. And I had to explain to her that I couldn't stop right in that moment because she was starting to have a big release in that moment. And so I walked her through the process of really just letting go. And it came down to that simple fact of it was not a physical issue that she was dealing with. It was more of a mental issue of having trouble in letting go. And when we addressed that on the table, it kind of trickle effect reflected in the rest of her life and her life events of this ability to let go and kind of move on and start her healing journey, which was huge. And it all buckled down to she just was super tight holding on to the fact that she was sick, or that she was, this certain profile that she had made out in her head. And it was finally that kind of breaking point where she realized, I don't have to hang on to this person anymore. I can be I can heal.
Yeah. Let it cleanse out.
Which is huge. And I've seen that happen. I mean, it's a very physical procedure, but I've seen countless time where people have gotten on the table and had really emotional breakthroughs where they, might end up crying. And it's not because of pain. It's not because of it's a traumatic event by any means. It's more so that our intestines and our stomach hang on to a lot of emotions. Yeah. It's our main source for making serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine, and so that huge gut-brain connection of just emotions and happiness and sadness, it all stems from the stomach, and so, the intestines. So, those are the biggest ones. But other than that, I've seen people go through several series of colonics and lose 9 inches around their belly, which was huge, and get rid of a ton of chronic inflammation, a lot of mucus that had been inhibiting nutrient absorption so that they could better absorb their food and have better energy throughout the day. So helps a ton with chronic fatigue and
that's amazing.
There are lots of stories,
go
actually.
of everything, I bet you have so many. It's amazing. So I bet a lot of people are wondering, does the procedure hurt, or what does it feel like, would you say?
I would say at its worst, it can feel kind of like diarrhea cramps. I don't know if you've ever felt that, but kind of like that chill.
So
like,
just uncomfortable.
Yeah, a little bit uncomfortable, but it should never be painful. The most uncomfortable part of the whole thing for some people is just the insertion of the speculum, because it's foreign, to have something go in versus out. But other than that, it shouldn't be an uncomfortable experience.
So not too bad.
Yeah.
So everyone should do it out there. So how do you prepare for a colonic? Are there certain foods you should eat the day before, or?
Well, I have a lot of people come in who have not done any preparation, and it goes just fine. But I will say that when people have, who are comfortable with doing their own type of colon irrigation come in, they tend to have a bit more release. So that can vary from doing some of their own self-enemas prior to just soften things up, or drinking a little bit of psyllium husk the day prior, or that's the other thing. I've had some people that drink some bentonite clay. I think bentonite clay is a little bit too condensing. It's a bit, I can't think of the word for it, but if you're going to do any kind of fiber supplement prior, I would suggest doing a little bit of psyllium husk, and that can really bind things up so that when you have a release, it is really grabbing on to the sides. And other than that, you know, a fruit and vegetable based diet is always going to be the best. Having meat in the diet tends to make the stool more sticky and hard, and that can make it an uncomfortable experience, but I find that anybody who's vegetarian or vegan, it's a pretty smooth process.
Pretty easy flowing.
Yeah.
Out. So are you a pretty big believer that most disease can be healed naturally?
Oh, for sure.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And are there any other natural like treatments that you think go really well hand in hand with colon therapy? Or is there anything else you recommend for people who are trying to heal disease especially? Or
Well, I'm a big advocate of a plant-based diet, as strongly plant-based as you can do. I myself am vegan, but that, you know, might be a transition period for some people, going from animal-based and then kind of working their way into fully plant-based. But I find that keeping on with a plant-based diet and also incorporating the most amount of raw foods, raw vegan diet, is the best way to go, just because you're gathering so much hydration from the raw fruits and vegetables, along with fiber that hasn't been broken apart through a cooking process, and great antioxidants. So it provides everything you need really to hydrate your cells, keep your cells full of nutrients, keep the colon with a good amount of fiber to help with transit time, and really everybody feels better.
right, because it's so much, so many nutrients, like you're just gonna feel good.
Yeah, and so that's the biggest
one.
Yeah.
So then, I'd love to hear if you have any funny stories, because I'm sure.
Funny stories. I have quite a bit of messy stories. So what we're doing is a closed system colon hydrotherapy. There is also open system where you're over a basin, and when you feel the urge to go, you just push and you're over a basin and it's eliminated. I think people have gotten confused in the past, and because this is closed system, when you feel the urge, you don't push.
You just say
that you need to go, or I will be able to tell by the pressure gauge that you're getting close, and I'll release it. And with some people, they didn't wait for that release, and they push the speculum and everything out. And yeah, so I've had a couple of situations like that, but you know, it's okay.
yeah, it happened.
It's okay. Just keep it all straight, laugh about it, because really, who cares?
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your interview, and we're gonna actually go inside, and I'm gonna get a colonic, so that'll be exciting.
Yeah,
and
very brave.
Yeah, very brave. But yeah, I feel like I need it. I have a lot of digestive health issues, so I've always felt like that's such a great way to just like help cleanse yourself out, and
for sure.
So, and then I'll let you guys know how I feel afterwards.
All right.
All right. Oh, thank you. Yeah, hello. We're in the colonic room right now, and Kelsey's going to read us this quote.
This is a quote by Dr. N.W. Walker, and it says, "The above 6 pictures of prolapsed, distorted, twisted, sickly-looking colons are exact reproductions of X-ray negatives of the colons of apparently healthy, civilized people, whose illusions about their physical conditions were exploded when they saw this conclusive evidence." So these are people coming in for, you know, minor issues, and he tried to explain to them the link between the intestines and the rest of the body, and this is the evidence. And I've actually seen this when I've biopsied cadavers. I've seen colons that look exactly like this, really thin and clogged up, and then the rest is kind of bloated out where the fecal material wasn't able to release. An interesting note, the average American contains between 5 to 20 pounds of dead fecal material in their intestine at any given time. And that even includes people who have a bowel movement regularly. So a bowel movement every day, I think they're eliminating, but the rest of the colon can actually still be hanging on to a bit along the walls. So the bowel movement can pass through the center and still come out, and it might be a little bit thinner, but the walls of the intestine can still be caked on with fecal material, which can inhibit absorption of nutrients and inhibit the production of vitamin B and D and K and the neurotransmitters that I talked about before, norepinephrine, serotonin, dopamine, and epinephrine. So
wow.
pretty huge. And it's the biggest cause of appendicitis is a fecal lith, which is a little ball of fecal material can get into the opening before the appendix and cut off the blood supply to the appendix, leading to a lack of blood supply, but also incredible inflammation that results in needing to have the appendix removed.
Oh, wow, that smells amazing.
Yep.
Right, so it's colonic time in here.
Juice. Bring on the juice. Bring on the juice. Bring on the juice. Make me sweat. Huh.
Right, colon therapy done. Okay, you guys, so it's been 1 day since I got my colonic, and I have felt so great. Yesterday, I was just so full of energy. My focus was so much better than normal. I had so much mental clarity and energy. So I just recommend hydrocolon therapy so much to any of you guys, whether you're trying to overcome a chronic illness or disease, or else whether you just want to reset your body. Such a great way to do so. But anyway, if you guys like this video, hit the like button down below. Leave any questions or comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. And subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys next time. Aloha.
Bring on the juice.